everyone, today's video is going to be on how to highlight and contour for dummies. And what I mean dummies, this is actually a request from my cousin Anauris, or Chuli. Call her Chuli. She asked for me to do a video on showing how I highlight and contour. The dummy part is actually inspired on a series of books that we used to read when we were little. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but it just basically means that I'm going to explain step by step how I highlight and contour. One more thing that you also need to keep in mind is that I'm going to show you how to do it very intensely, and you definitely can tone it down. I don't do my highlight and contour like this every day. Of course I don't. Sometimes I do, only if I'm going out, but I just want to show you the techniques. Let's not make this intro super long and boring, so let's just go into the tutorial. Alright, so as you guys can see, I already have a thin layer of foundation all over my face, and I also have a little bit of concealer just because I was doing my eyes first, and I like to apply concealer before I do the lower lash line. So now the first thing that you're going to need, we're going to begin with contour. So you can use a darker skin tone foundation, probably like 2 shades darker than your skin, depending on how dramatic you want your contour to be, or you can use, some people use it up to 4 shades of darker than your skin. To be honest with you, everybody has their own rules. I'm not going to give you any rules. You just choose whatever you want. If you like a very dramatic contour, then just go 4 shades darker. If you like a more of a subtle or natural looking contour, then use 2 shades of, darker than your skin tone. I'm not here to put any rules, okay? What I will be using is this contour kit by Laura Mercier. It comes with 1, 2, 3, 4 contour shades, and then it has 2 shimmery highlighting shades here. But you can use a concealer, you can use a darker foundation. A really good concealer on the market right now and inexpensive is the LA Girl Pro Concealer. I bought it myself, but I bought a shade that was too dark for me, and it kind of looked muddy on me. So that's the reason why I will be using this instead. Now I'll be using this contour brush by Zoeva. This is a Face Paint 109 to apply the contour on the areas that I want. If you don't have this brush, or you don't have something similar to this is very flat, you could definitely just use a concealer brush like this one just to apply it on the areas that we will be shading. So now I'm taking these 2 shades and we're going to contour with that. So the rule that everybody says is that you need to suck in like that so that you can see your contour line. But I don't really see it, to be honest. You can kind of see it. You can use it as a guide. But if you want, you could just also take the highest part, like this part right here from your ear, where your ear begins, and just trace a line going down up until kind of like the middle. Like, so it's until like the end of your eyes. So let's do that now. Like that. We're going to do the same to the other side. And now we're just going to go around your hairline. If you have a big forehead or a square forehead or a round forehead, and you want to kind of play around with the shape of your forehead, this is a step that you really want to do. And you're just going to shade the area kind of like in the way that you want it to simulate. Yeah. If that makes any sense. I have a very small forehead, so I really don't have to put that much here, but I just go around the hairline just so that it can blend in nicely, and it can kind of give me a nice bronzy look, for that matter. If you have a bigger forehead, you probably want to bring down the darker foundation down here, like a little bit lower. If you have a more wide forehead, then you want to bring it more in right here. But as you can see, I just applied it around the hairline because I don't really do it to make it smaller or larger or more round. I just do it to even out the contour. Now we're going to the jawline. This is very important. Also, if you want to make your face more narrow, more longer, you can play around with this. For me, I just go around my natural jawline right here, just to shade it. I kind of have like a double chin right here, so just adding it here, right where my jawline is, kind of like fades down the double chin that I have. So again, you play with that as you want. Like if you don't have a double chin, you don't even need to do this step because it's not that noticeable like this part. Like if you You can get away with just doing your cheekbone contour and your forehead or hairline contour and not do anything here, and it looks even and okay. But if you only do your cheekbones and you don't do around your hairline, it can kind of look a little funny. So that's why I do that. But you can definitely skip this step if you are okay with the way that your jawline is. And to be honest with you, we should all be okay however way our jawline is or our face. We're just doing this for fun, to look a little different when we wear makeup. Alright, so we just draw in the line here. Actually, I see that I go a little higher than my jawline. And I don't go super dark. As you can see, I actually use the middle shade, this one right here, the medium. I didn't use the darkest one because here you actually want it to look as natural as possible. Now I'm going to come with my Beauty Blender wet, and I'm going to blend everything in. As you can see, I'm using the fatter side of the Beauty Blender, and I kind of like go like this to make it more flat so it can help me blend out the contour. Now I'm going to be contouring my nose using contour number 1, this one right here, a little bit lighter just because I don't want it to be so obvious, and I'm using the same brush. And for the nose, a little trick that I have for myself that I think it works for me is I go like that. I make my Michael Jackson nose to find my bone right here so that I can just trace it down just a little bit more in so that my nose don't look as wide as they are. So now that I have my lines, I'm just going to use the same brush to start blending out. I'm coming back in with the Beauty Blender and just blending out the rest. So if you feel like you blended too much, don't worry at this point, because we're coming back in later with the light concealer, and that's actually going to help us bring out the edge again. So it's okay for now. Another trick that you can do is you can apply some of the contour shade right underneath your lip right here to make them look a little bit more fuller. And this one you can blend with the same brush. Okay, so that is it for the contour areas. Right now I don't contour any more than this. I know that some people create like a line coming down. I don't go crazy with all of that. That is how I contour. Now I'm going to come in with my concealer to do the highlighting areas, and I'm using Naked Skin Weightless Complete Coverage Concealer. This is definitely my favorite concealer ever because it is super full coverage and it doesn't dry me up, which a lot of concealers do. So I'm just going to be applying it down here, kind of like in a V form. You can create lines like that, like I'm doing right now, but it doesn't really matter. You'll have the same effect even if you just create a triangle. You can just leave it with the concealer and just do it as that. I do that all the time, but if you want like a full-blown highlight, you can also apply like a concealer pen or highlighting pen. I am using this Prep and Prime from MAC in the color Light Boost. And I'm going to be going over that concealer, but this one dries out really fast, so I apply it to one side and then I blend it first, and then I apply it to the other side to blend it because it dries out too fast. So with the Beauty Blender, I'm going to be blending that. Whoa. This is a very strong highlight, as you can see. And then I'm taking the fatter side of the Beauty Blender just to go around the edges. So it looks very intense right now, but don't be afraid. After we put the powder over it and everything is going to blend in better. If I don't want my highlight to be too intense, I usually just use whatever's left on the Beauty Blender and just go over the center of my forehead, the bridge line of my nose, and my chin right here. And that will give me a highlight. But today we're going for a full-blown contour and highlight, so I am going to be applying some of the highlighting pen again in those areas. The only reason why I'm not using the concealer is because I really want to save my concealer for my under eye because it's really good for that area. You can definitely just use your concealer. And like I said, this dries out really fast, so we have to move fast to blend this out. Did you guys see what I did? I went ahead and used the thin part or the smaller part of the Beauty Blender to blend out the highlighting pen, and then I went with the fatter side just to blend out the edges because you really don't want to have a white spot in the center beforehand. Trust me, I've done that. It's not cute. So go back and make sure that you blend it nicely. For your nose, you could just use your fingers. And now the Cupid's bow. Using a translucent powder, I'm using the one by Laura Mercier. We're going to use a Beauty Blender to apply it over the highlighting areas. And I'm actually going to be cooking a little bit. That means that I'm applying a generous amount, and I'm going to let it sit for a while. I really don't do this, like sometimes I do it underneath my eyes, but I don't really do it here or on the bridge line or the bridge of the nose or down here. I don't really do it much. To be honest, I rarely do it. Sometimes I do this step if I'm going out or something. But I'm going to do it for the purpose of the video so you guys can see how you can really sharpen up your highlight and contour. Like that. You're supposed to let it sit on the highlighting areas for about 5-10 minutes, really as long as you can, so that it can really intensify the highlight. And now I'm going to be setting the contour. This is a lot for some people, so you really don't need to do this. I really don't do this all the time, but if you really want your contour to stand out, I will be using the Kat Von D Shade and Light contour palette, but you can really use any bronzer. Try to use a bronzer that's not too warm so that it can look more natural. So I'm taking this shade right here, which is the lightest one out of the palette, and I'm going to be mixing it with just a tiny amount of the darkest one, and we're going to be intensifying that contour. Again, you do not have to do this. This is a lot for many of us, but if you really want your contour to be popping, you probably want to do this. If not, you can just go over your entire face with some translucent powder. I'm using this contouring brush by Tarte that I really love. It's a little big, so you need to make sure that you use the very edge right here. And I use it like facing down like that. And I just go like this, and it really sharpens up that contour even more. So you need to have a very light hand. You don't want to be too rough whenever you're applying your bronzer or your contour so that it can blend in nicer. So just go around your hairline with whatever product is left. I'm not applying anymore. Now it's time to reveal our highlight. So I am using this e.l.f. blush brush that I love. It's super cheap. I believe it's like $2 or $2.99, and we're going to be using it just to dust out the excess powder that we left under here cooking. And we shall reveal, yeah, the highlight. So look how bright my under eyes look compared to how I am naturally. It's really a big difference. Alright, so that is the highlight and the contour. Now I'm going to be applying a little bit of blush, and I am feeling pinky today, so I'll be using this one. It's a Secret Admirer by Makeup Geek. I like to apply my blush right over the contour. I don't really like to apply it on the apples of my cheeks because I feel like it makes my face more round. But every face shape is different. I just don't find that flattering on me. But you do you, girl. You do you. You apply however you like to apply it. And now a really exciting part of makeup for me, it's the shimmery highlight. I'm going to be using Becca's Opal, and I'm mixing that in with Gilded Honey by Laura Geller. So I'm applying both of them just right over the blush right here. So we're going to be applying a little bit on the tip of our nose. If you want, you can apply it all over the bridge of your nose. But I think it looks more natural when you apply it just on the tips. But again, to each their own. Is that how you say? I think so. And a little bit on our Cupid's bow. And that's it. Now let me just apply my lipstick and I'll be right back.